Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm back with a new release review. An album that's been out for a couple of weeks now, maybe a month or so. It's taken me quite a long time to get to the point where I feel I can hopefully do this album some justice and give it a full in-depth review. It's an album that has been greatly anticipated for many years, in fact. So this new release, although it's been out for a few weeks, and I say it's taken me a little while to get to the point where I feel I can give it a proper review. It's also taken me quite a while to feel like I can get my head around what I'm listening to, because although it's not overly progressive, it's certainly incredibly dynamic and very complicated. And of course, you already know the album I'm talking about. I'm talking about Time 2. So this is the fourth full-length album from Finnish, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to say symphonic, epic, very complicated, extreme metalers. The mighty Wintersun. And what an album cover that is. So here it is. Not quite 12 years in the making, but it's 12 years since Time 1, the magnificent opus that was released. Now, I can remember, I don't think I got it quite in 2012. It might have been around 2013 or 2014. I think it had been out for a year or so by the point I finally got hold of this copy. But I absolutely loved it. I have very clear memories of walking to sixth form at the time, in winter, it being very frosty, bitterly cold, you know, those beautiful crisp winter mornings, and probably an equal measure of miserable rainy mornings as we get here in England. In winter, it tends to be very wet, but I can remember clearly listening to Time 1 and just transcending, being taken somewhere completely different and just absolutely loving it, the magic of this album. So when I heard, however many months ago it was now, that finally Wintersun were going to be releasing Time 2, I was extremely excited. The anticipation was high. I wanted to get myself a copy. I pre-ordered this one. Just couldn't wait. Was so excited to see what Wintersun had managed to produce. Of course, the last album, The Forest Seasons, I think it was released in 2017. And it was a notably different album from Time 2. They had dispensed largely with the kind of Oriental influence and that kind of stuff. Although it was a very ambient, atmospheric album, a very good album, I will say. Very dynamic, very involved. I took a little while to really get into that one. I still don't think it's as good as Time 1 or even the debut self-titled album, which was very much rooted in kind of folk black metal as well. But that aside, it's been a long time since Time 1, and it's actually been a long time, you know, 7 getting on for 8 years since their last album. And I think when you do finally listen to Time 2, you can appreciate that this album must have taken a very long time to write and certainly a long time to put together. There's a lot of different flavours and flares involved here. You know, there's a lot of computer work, but then at the same time you've got a whole lot of very complex technical musicianship, not in a prog way, it's just that there's a hell of a lot going on. There's so many layers, so textured. But it's a great album. Although it's taken me a while to get to the grips with it, I absolutely love this. I think this is fantastic. It's notably different from Time 1, but there's a lot of similarities, even the structure of the album. So the album kicks off with Fields of Snow, which is stunning. It's not very metal. It's largely kind of Oriental influenced, an intro, if you like. It's a musical piece, almost like a soundtrack. It's got that kind of neoclassical vibe there. Very ambient, very atmospheric. It's very encompassing, very encapsulating. It does sound great. You get a lot of these sort of more traditional Oriental, I guess, I'm going to say Oriental, instrumentations in there. And it sounds great. It really does. It's a really nice intro that then progresses pretty seamlessly into The Way of Fire, which is a 10-minute plus, very heavy track, very dynamic, very good though. What you really start to get, obviously this is the first track proper, is you really get the standout musicianship that is evident here. And this is our lineup. So our lineup in full, and apologies because I'm probably going to mispronounce the names here. We do have Jari Meyenpää, vocals, guitars, computer. He's kind of the main man, if you like. He's the founding member, the main writer. I think he writes all music here, all lyrics as well. Jari, of course, made his name, I suppose, in Ensiferum, kind of pagan folk metal band. And he's been doing his own thing since leaving there many moons ago. But Jari, fantastic voice. He's got a really good clean voice throughout, really good aggressive voice as well, more harsh kind of black metal style vocals. Then we've got Teemu Mantasari on guitar, who is currently, I believe he's still in Megadeth. So he's wound his way up in Megadeth with good old Mega Dave Mustaine. Then we have Jukka Koskinen on bass, who has now found his spot in Nightwish, the epic symphonic Finnish metalers that they are, alongside fellow bandmate and drummer Kai Harto. I'm never quite sure on the pronunciation. I do apologise for massacring their names there, but a very, very talented bunch of musicians. You cannot fault the musicianship here one little bit. It's solid, incredible stuff. And certainly the drumming is so at the forefront here. It's so prominent. It's so loud and in your face and driving. And The Way of Fire is absolutely pummeling. It's a great track. It's very heavy. It's fast paced. Some amazing riffs. Some really great leads there. Very accomplished guitar work, essentially, with some great vocals over the top there. And the whole while in the background, you've got this real mix of amazing atmospheric ambience going on. So many flavours and flares in there, as I say. It's a 10-minute barrage. Totally amazing soundscaping stuff. Absolutely spectacular. Next track is One with the Shadows, which is a slightly shorter, about 6 minutes plus. And actually in comparison, it's a much more melodic track, slightly slower pace. Again, the drumming is phenomenal. I think Kai as a drummer is, wow, that guy is an absolute machine. And he is a fantastic drummer. Absolutely brilliant. The guitar work, again, is incredible. What I particularly like about One with the Shadows is some of the kind of the vocal arrangements and the delivery of those vocals sounds amazing. And actually, it's some of the best vocal work from Jari on this whole album, I would say. The whole of vocal arrangements almost sounds a bit like some of the Oriental instrumentation there. It's very difficult to explain, but it's fantastic. And the bass work is incredible throughout. It's very prominent. I think one of the few issues I have with Time 1 is in some of the mix, some of the guitars, some of the riffs and the bass became very thin. Whereas here, it's so thick, it's so bold and loud. It's a loud album, which is brilliant, with tracks like the little interlude piece, Ominous Clouds, track number 4, which is, again, it is an interlude piece, but some amazing guitar noodling, some incredible guitar work there. And I'm not actually sure if that's Jari or not, but it's incredible. I wonder if it actually says in here. No, it doesn't say at a glance, but absolutely fantastic. It might be Teemu or Timu. Not really sure, but amazing. Absolutely incredible guitar work there. It's mesmerizing, totally mesmerizing. And then we're launched into the Storm. Storm is a 12-minute long epic. So about halfway through the song, about maybe 5-6 minutes in, we get the sounds of storms brewing in the background, which is perfect. I love a good storm. I love a good storm, me. So that is brilliant. And then at around 10-minute mark, the whole thing falls away. We get more of the beautiful ambient oriental instrumentation, and we just get the sound of heavy rain and storms. And it's a beautiful outro. But before we get to that point, we get another very heavy track. It's driving, it's full throttle. The drums are absolutely just charging on. Again, we were greeted by more amazing riffs, really great guitar work, but some really metal riffs as well. So this isn't just, you know, technical noodling away and very self-indulgent stuff. We get a lot of the noodling, but we also get some really heavy riffs. And I think, to put it into context, symphonic metal, that's a very broad term. You know, we have bands like Epica and Nightwish and Camelot and so on and so forth. But all of them, although there's similarities, there's differences there. And Wintersun, although I think it's fair to say they're a symphonic metal band, I think they're also very rooted in, probably through Yari's influence, of course, rooted firmly in black metal and folk influence there as well, folkish metal. And I think that's definitely evident on Storm. You get a lot of that kind of black metal style riffing, where it's fast, it's heavy, and it's grinding. It's just brilliant. It's a stunning song. It really is. There's no kind of filler. You get the impression and the feel that everything has been very meticulously worked out, very meticulously put together and arranged. So then we get the closing track. After that beautiful storm section, we get Silver Leaves, which is an even longer epic. So this, by this point, is 13 minutes plus, in fact. But it is amazing. Again, it's a heavy moment. It has some sort of more melodic, and I think that's fair to say throughout the album. There's very melodic, gentle passages, but there's also heavy moments as well. I think overall I do slightly prefer Storm to Silver Leaves, but Silver Leaves is structured in a fairly similar way. You know, the outro there is very gentle. We get almost like the sound of leaves, I suppose, leaves in the breeze. But it's great. More of the same. We just get more brilliance here. However, what is really good, when you think that we have 4 essentially long tracks, big bulky tracks with The Way of Fire, very heavy, one with The Shadows, more melodic, more folkish in there, Storm, again, faster paced, heavy, epic, and Silver Leaves, very grand. They are all very distinguishable. They all have their own brilliant elements that make them stand out and set them apart from one another. Where the whole album flows pretty much seamlessly, there is distinction. Although, as I say, one song rides seamlessly into the next one, you can tell them apart. And I think that, again, is testament and tribute to the brilliance of the songwriting here and the brilliance of the whole arrangement and the production as well. In fact, I think it is produced by Yari, if I'm not much mistaken. Produced by Yari as well, overall. Yeah, it's a fantastic, very dynamic, it's a magical album. And I think there's a real beauty here. And I love my black metal, my thrash metal, my death metal. But I also love to listen to some music where it can absolutely take you places. You know, it can transport you all that distance to the snowy mountains and the frost and snow covered trees that we get in the artwork here. And you get this very epic oriental aesthetic throughout the whole little package. And I was very tempted to get this on vinyl, actually, because I thought this would be a really nice one to have. And I might still do it. And it would be worth it. So overall, the album is about 50 minutes long, if I remember correctly. But it doesn't feel like that. In a way, it feels like a much longer album. At the same time, it feels like it just goes in a flash. Again, testament to the brilliance of the album. And I think it is a really great album. Would I say that I prefer it to Time 1? I don't know. I think they're just as good as each other. I think that the overall production and sound of Time 2 is better. but I think this also has a magic to it that cannot be replicated in a way. So, my friends, time 2 from Finnish extreme symphonic glorious metalers, Wintersun. Time 2, 12 years after its first installment with Time 1. What are your thoughts and opinions on this amazing album? I would say that this is easily a 9 out of 10. It's a glorious album, and I love it. My favourite tracks, if I was going to have to pick, although it's, 6 songs in total, I'd probably have to say Storm. I think that's the winner for me. But they're all brilliant. The whole thing is just it's not really an album that you can pick individual moments and say, yep, I'll just listen to that. Really, you need to listen to the thing in full. But, my friends, what are your thoughts and opinions on Time 2? What are your thoughts and opinions on Wintersun? Very interested to hear your thoughts on this one here. Please do feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Support is very much appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. Until next time, take care of yourselves and stay heavy.